Hi there, it's Mimsy here. Are the back cushions of your sofa super slouchy? Like when you sit back on your sofa, do you sink back real far into your sofa? When you take your cushion back, is this part caved in? Well, that's what happened to mine. So today I'm going to show you how I repaired my sofa and made it like brand new. Let's get started. I'm doing a little sofa repair today. My sofa, I sat down on it hard one day and I heard kind of a crack in it, and this side right here started to sink back real far whenever you sat in it. It looks like it caved in back there. So I knew I had to open it up, and sure enough, this bar right here is broken. And it's also broke over there, which it didn't start to cave in over there like it did over here. You can see that this part is caved in. So what I'm gonna do is take this 2x2 and I'm going to undo all this plasticky stuff, which takes the place of jute webbing generally is what's back there, but this is kind of a plasticky stuff because it's probably, I don't know, this probably wasn't a very expensive sofa, but who knows. Anyway, I really like the shape of it still, so I'm going to just use this piece of wood, undo all that black plastic stuff because that's what holds the cushions from just sinking back in there. There's really nothing behind there, it's hollow. I'll take that black off of there, put this piece of wood in there, and then staple this real tight to that piece of wood, and then fold that back down over the back of the sofa. And generally you staple this inside the back of the sofa, behind the back of the sofa, and then you put the back on the sofa. But since I'm not going to open up the back of the sofa, I'll just bring it down and tuck it in real good, and then I will fasten it probably over here and maybe up the sides somehow. And maybe I'll even just put in a couple staples on that board there. So the board will be covered by the foam and the fabric. But anyway, that's how I'm repairing my sofa and spending my Saturday afternoon. So I got that piece of wood in there. This is the piece of wood, and it just goes right up into this side, and there's a piece of wood right here, so it's up against that. So what I think I'll do is I will toenail this into there with a couple screws, and then it also is up against this piece of wood here. So I'll screw that into there. And then there's a couple of these guys, which I will, there's a little piece here that needs to be cut off, and that's why it's not coming over this, but I'll pull this so that it's even with the front of this. And then I think I'll use a couple L brackets to secure that to that. And last but not least, we'll fasten this back down, and it's done. Well, and then the foam and the fabric. So this is where I toenailed the 2x2 into each end of the sofa to the wood that was on each of the arms to fasten it, and then I also put in the L brackets here to hold those back like spine supports that were in the back of the sofa. And the important part on this is to make sure that you pre-drill pilot holes into everything so that you don't split your wood, because you only have one chance at this, so you don't want to be splitting wood that's in the sofa or the 2x2. Otherwise, you've got to start over. So just make sure that you pre-drill the pilot holes. That was the important part about this. Okay, I got a screw into that piece of plywood, which goes up the center of the back, and then those pieces I put L brackets, 2 of those, L bracket over there. So I've got a nice new piece of solid wood across there. Now I will drop this baby down and staple it super tight, and that will give me a nice solid back. All right, I'm too tired to bring in my compressor, so baby staple gun it is. Maybe I should go get it. So I've got it opened up, and then what I'll do is then I'll fold over the top layer and put another staple there. So that way it's like a double up of the fabric. Know what I mean? The fabric won't rip out. And then this part, the back, that black plastic cambric-y stuff was a little bit slouchy in the center. It got a little bit stretched out. So I was just gathering it up on that wood spine support and stapling it to that a little bit tighter so that it just makes the back even tighter still. This piece of wood here is always away from this corner just a little bit, about an inch, because that way you can tuck all of your fabric back here. And usually when you're doing upholstery, the back of your sofa is the very last thing that you close. So you would tuck that, you would pull it from back here and staple it back. But I'm not gonna open this up because I don't wanna. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my regulator, which is basically like a real thin, somewhat flexible metal, like a flat screwdriver, and I'll tuck this underneath that bar I put there. And then I might put a couple staples in the bottom into this, or what I might do is use a brass upholstery tacks, because they'll be fairly decorative, or they'll be decorative so that if somebody were to see them, which they won't because the cushions are always there. This is not an upholstery regulator, it's just a pry bar, but it works. Oh, much better. Much better, all fixed. And the reason why I'm keeping this sofa and I repaired it is because I would like to eventually replace these 3 cushions with one single long bench cushion and then do a slip cover for the whole entire thing. And it's gonna end up out there on my back patio in an outdoor fabric. So that's the plan. All fixed. Okay, so the beginning of the video I showed you I already had this fabric peeled up. Let me just tell you the easiest way to start that process is all the way in this corner. Because in this corner, there's the bar that comes down this way and then the bar that goes that way and then it attaches into there. So the fabric right here in this corner, right here on top of the bar, it's just sitting there. When you get underneath here, the fabric goes underneath there and it's stapled down in the back there because the back of the sofa is the last thing that gets closed. So the easiest place to start pulling your fabric apart is to start all the way in this corner here. And you can just grab a hold of it with a pair of pliers and just give it a tug and just work it until those staples undo. And then once you get a few of those staples out, you can start pulling it across little by little and then eventually lift it up. So, and generally the fabric will be sewn like this one. This fabric is sewn to this cheap little cambric type of fabric. I don't do that actually, but they do that in mass manufacturing to make things cheaper and use less of this fabric. I don't do that. Custom upholsterers generally don't do that. That's how it is in mass-produced cheap furniture. But that also makes it easier to pull this apart because this cheap fabric here will the staples will just, this fabric will just pull right out. So for this situation, it's very easy. But if you have a very high quality piece, it might be harder to pull this fabric out because it's stapled into this thick upholstery fabric rather than this cheap cambric. Anyway, start your pulling your fabric out over here in this corner.